I always like to tell customers that, listen, if you want to compare my retainer agreement to what you're paying your dishwasher in salary and benefits and health insurance and all that stuff, I guarantee you my cost is still less than his. And for being probably, if not the most valuable person to your organization, because without technology, you can't do anything.
Hey guys, welcome to the Grow IT podcast. Your host here, Alessandro Cutri, joined none other than today by the famous duo, the father and son, Safa and Arman Movassaghi. Today we'll be diving into their story, a little bit about how they originally started their company and kind of the vision that they have within the next 12 months and beyond, and some engaging insights into the IT and cybersecurity space. So definitely make sure to stick around. But without further ado, I'll kind of just, pass it on over to you, Safa. Why don't you just maybe start by just introducing yourself to the audience and telling us how you got to where you are today?
Well, first of all, I appreciate this podcast. I appreciate allowing us to share our story. I've really enjoyed speaking with you, and I think our story, I know it has inspired some other families, and I hope this can help.
Of
Um,
course.
Being a family man, my story started was for the technology was actually I was an electrical engineer. That's what I studied back then. There was not much of a computer science and whatnot too, so that was the best choice. But my first job, by the way, ever since I was a kid, my hand was into these whatever I get my hands on, and I usually break them. But
Yeah.
that's just a fun thing
Hmm.
for me. And anyways, my first job was working I remember at Toshiba, and they took me to the repair department and hand me these laptops. And with the old laptops, you had to put floppies and all sorts of crazy stuff. And all I had to do was unscrew and take them apart,
Hmm.
which was kind of degrading, but it actually changed my entire life for the past
Wow.
31 years now. I fell in love with this thing. I have a passion for it, and it's something that it will never stop. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's my short version of what
Yeah.
I've done, and it's interesting. My personal passion is into
Hmm.
security stuff. I like to break stuff, challenge myself. I think best way to learn is to really dive into it and really find out what's going on. But the only way to do that, and I was just telling some students yesterday, these were UCI student electrical engineers, and I was sharing with them. I said, the number one thing that if you don't have that, don't do it is passion.
Yeah.
I think passion was the first thing that got me going, and I still am
Yeah.
going. And surprisingly, that young man, Armand, picked it up, and I'm happy. So, Armand, that's
Yeah.
my
I
story.
love it. And I think one of the things that we first bonded over, you and I, Safa, when you were telling me about your story, is that I come from a very similar background in terms of I grew up working for my father, grew up in the family business. Obviously, mine being more the restaurant side of things, and so it's always great to see the father and son duo and really building something together. There's nothing as
Mhm.
special as that. And I'd love to kind of get your take on this now, Armand. Obviously, a little bit about maybe your background and kind of how it's been just working at the family business, and you know you're almost entrusted with so much now as you continue to grow this thing.
Absolutely,
Well,
yeah. So again, first off, thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate it. And yes, so my my style that I have learned throughout this thing has been kind of interesting because people ask me all the time, "Hey Armand, how do you know? How do you do
Hmm.
what you do?" And luckily, I can say that everything I've learned is either from the man that you see
Hmm.
on the screen in front of you and my lovely father, or it's from being out in the field of him telling me, "Hey, you're on your own,
Yeah.
figure it out." And, it was a very nice kind of a transition for me because from a very young age, my father's always told me, you are going to run this
Yeah.
business. Since I was 2 years
Yeah. Yeah.
old and was barely speaking, this guy was like, you are going to run this technology business. I don't care. And since I was a very young age, he's been taking me to his clients' offices, He used to be a CTO, so he used to take me to his other organization as well, and I would sit around and I just kind of watch him and see what he was doing. And from a young age, he started to engage me into, all right, here's what I'm doing. Watch me, copy it. If you don't copy it correctly, you didn't watch me
Yeah.
correctly. So from this young age, I've always started to learn of, okay, watch what my dad is doing and see how he's changing things and how he's making these operations work.
Hmm.
And from there, I've kind of taken that and put my own twist on it now to make it a little more 2024, let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
call
Yeah.
it. So I'm very, very blessed to say that my lifestyle growing up was very much just always going to work with my dad and watching him do what he does. And slowly but surely, once I was right around, 15, 14 years old, he's like, all right, we're gonna put you on a paycheck
Hmm.
every month and you're gonna work for me from
Yeah.
now on, and this is your job. So I was very, very blessed that I got to have that opportunity, and dealing with very high level CEOs and entrepreneurs from, a 15-year
Yeah.
old kid is very just like, wow, what am I doing here? But now that I'm at this age, I've realized that that time that I had from watching him and seeing the interactions has gave me that real big head start compared to some of my peers that are,
Definitely.
in the same thing and trying to make their own way for it. So I'm very blessed in that, and I'm very happy to say where I'm at
Yeah.
right now is every day I wake up and it's a fun day and it's an interesting day. There's always something that's
Yeah.
going to be coming at you, but I can't wait
Nah, it's
for it, honestly.
amazing. And did you
Yeah,
want
I
to add
want to
something? Go
add
ahead. Yeah.
something to this. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait. I
Yeah.
gotta say, uh, uh, my honestly, my father, who has been always a mentor to me, was a doctor,
Hmm.
professor, very knowledgeable, very sweet man. His motto was love, give love, and he was also expectation was very different level, which was hard, I
Hmm.
should say. But his advices over and over, even now that he's been gone, still comes to me, and they've been such a help in my life. And one of them was he said, take Arman with you, teach him the trade. And either he
Hmm.
will like it and he will take it on. If not, this man will never go
Yeah.
hungry. At such a basic level, so he didn't make it complicated for me to say, what am I gonna do? So it was very easy. And this Arman never had a chance to sit behind and start playing games or whatever. After school, he would come to me, we go to the
Yeah.
clients, and I'd had him do stuff. And luckily he's a good boy. He listened and he
Yeah.
didn't, we fought a lot, but that's a typical
Yeah.
father and
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, it wasn't hard. It really
Yeah.
wasn't. It was joy
That's
to see
amazing, and
him.
it reminds me a
Hmm.
lot of my relationship with my father, right? Because I grew up in the in the restaurant business. As my dad, when I first came, I started working when I was like 10, 11, and he put me as like a dishwasher. I would like wash the dishes. I was learning how to be a
Hmm.
busboy, and learning how to then become a waiter
Exactly.
eventually. To then at one point I was managing it, and just learning the different aspects of the business. And to your point, Armand, you never there's
Hmm.
so many lessons that you're able to get from just being inside the business and working with people and understanding people and being able to talk to those CEOs, those high level people. And now you're still 25, right? You're still obviously young in that sense, but you have so much
Hmm.
experience from just dealing with those people that it puts you ahead of a lot of other people that are your similar age. And it's an amazing
Absolutely.
it's an amazing story for me, obviously, because it sounds very similar to my father and I. But I did want to transition just a little bit, guys, into some of the trends right now within the market, because we get a lot of people that tune in that are in the IT and tech space, and there's a lot of things that are always coming out in terms of new trends, new different hype trains that are coming out. Safa, you've obviously been inside this
Hmm.
industry for a while now, right? You've probably seen a lot of ebbs and flows and things come and go. What are some of those trends that you're noticing right now within the market in terms of how things are moving?
Uh, I give you an example. We used to go to CES shows, if you recall, Arman. And back then, in the old days, it was nothing but desktops and computers and stuff. And in years now, if you go there, you don't hardly find a single computer, because that's how technology has
Mhm.
evolved. It's became an embedded part of everything. So everything you work with, touch, whatever, has a computer in it. And that to me is the most amazing part. But what I find it fascinating is, as I always say, we're in the business of people. So it's how this technology is impacting our lives, and how we live our life, and how we respond to these devices, and how it's actually truly impacting your, even your home life, or your business life. And this is the amazing part, and I think this is the fun part of the whole thing. We're actually bringing the machine and human factor together now, to the level that we really can put it to work the way we want it to work. And this is, to me, is the best part of this
Yeah.
setup.
Mhm.
And what I want to do is focus on more and more onto this. And I think this is the, I was just watching yesterday a company who is producing now a 3D
Mm.
web. And I was so fascinated watching how the websites are coming to life as a 3D, but as you
Yeah.
scroll, other things are happening in front of you. Whether you scroll to a city, and next thing you know, the information about the city is happening. So that interactiveness, that coming to life of this thing, to me, is the best part. But how do we bring it into people's life? How to make it functional? How to make it effective? How to increase the revenue of the business? This is the joy. This is where things are there to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, and now
Miles.
and I'm curious to get also your take on this as well, Armand. Now you're have your hands on with a lot of this technology, and
Yeah, it's his problem now.
yeah, what are some of those things that you're either seeing, which talking with a lot of customers that are kind of coming up, or just overall some of the things that are
Mhm.
happening right now within the technology sphere?
So, a lot of the things that I see nowadays, I mean, we see it more than ever. The two letters AI is
Yeah,
everywhere nowadays. I mean, truly everywhere. My vacuum has AI, my dishwasher has AI, my socks have AI at this,
yeah,
everything has AI. And we've got to a point where, there's kind of two sides to it, because there's one side of it that it's a great marketing tool. Hey, we made this thing smart now. It has more features. We're going to sell it for this much more, and it's going to give you more information, so you should buy it for that reason. Now, that's great and all, but it's not really actual AI. There's no true learning artificial intelligence actually happening. It's just giving out
yeah,
information. So there's one side of stuff that I see as a very big marketing tool and what they're trying to create nowadays. And there's one side of it now, which I think is the cool stuff. It's the actual AI software development, automation, and trying to bring our life into using technology on a daily basis to make our lives easier
yeah,
and more um, just more able to communicate with others as well. One thing I just saw the other day was Google came out with their new Meta
mm,
glasses, or Facebook came out with their new Meta glasses, where these glasses, they do automatic live translation and talk back to someone
yeah,
else. I've never
yeah,
even seen something like that before in in something in like regular pair of glasses that has a screen on it inside I mean, we're going into a very new world, and I love the amount of automation and stuff that we're bringing to the world to make our lives easier. And what we try and do more than ever for our clients, is we try and create this automation and create this and use the artificial intelligence to our benefits, to create the customer and make them money and make
yeah,
them revenue. Something Safa always told me was always make sure that the technology is not just an expense to them. It has to be an asset. It
exactly.
has to create
Yeah,
them some sort of revenue. If it's not, then you're just spending money and it's just
yeah,
going nowhere. So you're always going to look like the
yeah,
bad guy. So you have to try, and it's the education and shifting. So, a lot of the trends that we see, yes, they are with AI. Yes, I see a lot of automation stuff. More than ever, though, kind of what Safa has said, we have moved into a software world. Everything nowadays is no longer the hardware, it is all what the software
yeah,
does. So, I love that. I think it's very, very cool because you can kind of build out whatever you want. The sky is the
Yeah.
limit. So yeah, lately I've been seeing just a lot more of SaaS going on.
Yeah.
Nowadays we're going into we're a subscription
Yeah,
world
and
now.
it'll be interesting to
So
see
we're
how
only
it
gonna
continues to evolve, right? And where we'll be in the next, 5 to 10 years. Because
exactly.
to your point, even I don't know if you saw the Elon Musk, what he's doing with the robots who have like the AI installed into
Yep,
them, and they're like, it's like we're living in the
100%.
in the times where they made movies about, right? And we're starting to get into those,
Exactly, yeah.
really futuristic societies. Who knows where AI will continue to develop into? Um, but and on that point, you
Hmm.
made a really good point that I kind of just want to dive a little bit deeper on in terms of you know what you guys do, right? As a technology provider, IT service provider. If you're not actually focusing on how the technology is tied to their revenue, and how they're either tied to their operational efficiency or their productivity or saving their employees time, then they're not going to keep you around, right? And it's a very smart point.
Hmm.
And I just want to rewind the clock just a little bit here, because Safa, you started this company a while back, right? Delamar Technologies. For the audience that's just listening to this and they're hearing about you for the first time, could you just go into a little bit about that founding story, Safa? Just tell us a little bit about what really prompted you to start this company in the first place, and then kind of how that journey's been.
Well, sure, I had a lot of ups and downs. I remember when after the third time I got laid off. At that time, at least I knew something about motherboards and floppies and hard drives and stuff. So I decided to try this on my own, and I went up here and bought computer parts and put it together and installed some basic software. In the old days, it was mostly DOS based with a little menu thing, and put an ad in a penny saver, and I sat and waited. And fortunately, at a certain point, when I thought it's not going to happen, it's going to fail, the phone rang, and I sold my first computer, and I was excited beyond him, like, wow, I did it. So I ran and bought another one. Then eventually, I met this wonderful man, Mr. Dave, who we became partners, and he had a huge amount of contacts. And before you know it, our business grew so much that couldn't do it from my little apartment anymore. So we ended up getting an office and built the business and hired people. We got some big accounts, and things were going fabulous. I mean, life was just amazing. I remember telling my mother, I don't, this is, I'm talking about in early 90s. I was like, I don't see any checks less than $10,000. And that back then, that was a
Yeah,
lot of money, and all went, and then all of a sudden with the coming of Best Buys and CompUSA's and Fry's and whatnot, to you know I think honestly over a weekend I was so tired of it, I closed everything, went home, put everything in a storage, and I
mm,
stopped. I can't do this. So it's easier said than done. You're sitting there worrying about, how am I going to pay my
yeah,
next bill? How am I going to? There's just so many questions. I had a wife, kid, all this stuff. So I have the responsibility. But then again, the big thing was, I believe that I've always been saved, and God is always with me and always protected me one way or another when I least didn't think so. And I looked into the fact of, I'm not a box pusher. I'm not IBM. You know what I mean? People like me for what we
yeah,
do, for the services. They like me for who I am. They like talking to me and how I like to go above and take care of it. And that was the pivot. So we kind of started from scratch again, contacting the same clients little by little, build it up. I got involved with that organization, as Armand said, that they were a home builder in 5 states. They had just started it, so I had a chance to grow with them, watch the whole industry. I had to learn about construction. I had to get my contractor license. I had to study the soft. But it's been so joyful. But again, the rapid growth starts happening, and the whole point of this thing was, again, focusing on, why do people want to talk to me? Why do they want to call me? What can I
yeah,
do for them? What can I? How do I take care of them so that they know they're taken care of?
yeah.
Otherwise, this is just a
And on
business.
that, right, because Safa, I'd love to get your take on this, right? Where do you feel like when a company comes in and engages with you guys, you've had this incredible story now, and you've probably learned so many lessons along the way in terms of what's actually valuable to a customer. Where do you feel like it is that you deliver like that value, to your customer base? Where does that come from?
Eh, what I do is there's a, as I said, because we're in a people
Hmm.
business, I want to make sure that person is taken
Yeah.
care of. They're not concerned about what's in the back end. That's my
Yeah.
job. But my real job is to take care of this person's need and also connect with them in the term of a partnership. And Armand knows this better than me, and he's going to talk about it. The partnership is that I'm going to go back to him and says, by the way, I've seen that, I've seen this concept, this will help you. So they feel they're being taken care of, and not feeling we are taking care of them. And another one that the model is, I always say, our tagline is we never power down. We're always available. And Armand, thanks to him now, he's really taking those calls. They do call at 11 o'clock on Sunday. Why? Because they know we answer. Why? Is because if something goes down, we are there. But we don't wait for things to go down. We're proactive. Another lesson that a client of mine told me one time, I walked into his office, his printer was smashed. I said, "What happened?" He said, "I was so mad at it, I threw it against the wall." I go, "Well, relax, you don't have to break it." And then he said, "Safa, my advice to you is it's better to be proactive than reactive." That always stuck with me. We better be
Yeah.
proactive. These are the little stuff that you apply in life and in
Yeah.
work. They are the same. Armand, you want to share
Yeah.
more?
I'd love to get your take on this as well.
I mean, no, you got it. He got it pretty well. There's really two sides to our business. Side number one is our job to do, and that's making sure that the technology is running and everything is functioning on its own level. We I've been very blessed at Safa, and from what I've learned of being out there for these organizations and the stuff that we do handle. Safa's really taught me the KISS concept and really shoved that in my
Hmm.
brain because technology is a very simple process. It should not be something that is multiple loops, multiple crossovers, and so forth. When you start getting into that, you realize that you're not doing something
Hmm.
right because it should be a very strategic step by step. The firewall should talk to the switch, should talk to the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, then the iPhone and so forth, and that infrastructure as a whole, I think, is something we do incredibly well with all of our customers. We've gotten them, whether we just started with them and, we've either redone the infrastructure or, they don't have the budget and we got to make do with what we have there. That's fine. We work with them and we figure out, okay, maybe this product isn't going to be enough for you. You know that. But hey, we're going to make it work for now in the meantime while we work on the budget to replace
Yeah.
this item and so forth. So we want to work proactively in informing the customer exactly of what they have as well. Even if they care, they don't. That's just us
Yeah.
doing our job and making sure that partnership and that two-way communication is there because we also require that too. And we stress our customers of, hey, we don't want to just be your IT guy that makes sure everything's working. That's the
Yeah.
baby side of it.
It's
That's
the bare
easy
minimum.
for us. The side that I want to exactly the part that I want to be in is, hey, put me in the staff meetings that you have every
Yeah.
week. Let me just be there to listen for what you guys have going on because maybe you guys are talking about something that I saw at another organization that's in the same business of you guys that didn't work, or maybe it did work
Yeah.
fantastically. Regardless, I give you guys my insight of, hey, this is the direction we need to travel because we've, again, just like Safa said, we've got to the point that technology is everything. Everything has some sort of
Yeah.
technology in it.
Yeah.
And without having that person that helps you guide you into how this stuff should be set up, you will constantly be running around and you're constantly going to have failures in these processes when you're trying to implement these stuff because you don't have that person driving
Yeah.
the wheel. That's really what we are. We like to drive that wheel for
It's a
you.
great point. And it really it's what turns you into from a service provider, right? That just provides a service into an actual partner, right? That's the difference, right? Because a service
Exactly.
provider just provides a
Yep.
service. a partner actually thinks about how the service can help your business actually excel and what services you actually need. And I think a
Most
great thing
definitely.
about you guys as well is the fact that you're a family business, right? It's not like you're going to get, when you work with those, when the bigger, MSPs or biggest, the bigger IT service providers, they sign you on as a client. Hey, here's a project manager, right? Hey, this person's gonna
Hmm.
handle you. You're never gonna hear from me again, right? Type of thing. But with you guys, and
Yep.
yourself, and being able to sit in those staff meetings, sit in those meetings, that's what is actual the value, right? Beyond the service that you guys provide. And I wanted you to just touch a little bit on Armand, because you're obviously dealing with a lot of these
Sure.
clients. Your day to day is probably taken up by a lot of that. What are some of the common challenges that people are coming to you with, right? And saying like, hey, like I have these challenges, and what are the commonalities that you're seeing, and how do you guys really help them overcome those?
Totally. So
Hey, Armand,
we go
talk
ahead.
also a little bit about some of the stuff that we do on top of it. When they
Yeah,
come
yeah,
up
yeah,
with
we'll get there.
what do you add on to it?
So, there's really um we see two different types of challenges. I see two that are very common in my day to day. The number one is clients that are newer clients, maybe they're still in the onboarding process, and they've had an infrastructure for however many years that, was within previous MSP. And a lot of the times, what I see the biggest challenge is that the old provider has provided them with systems that are either under power for their organization or not set up correctly. So the organization will see those issues come to them, whether the computer doesn't connect or something is slow or hey, a member Wi-Fi isn't communicating properly and so forth. We see those little challenges. And again, it comes back to our education platform of, hey guys, this stuff we could make it work, but at the end of the day, this is not correct for the environment regardless.
Yeah,
So we can make it work at the 70%, but that's the best you're going to get out of it is that 70%. And a lot of the times, one of the big challenges that I have to deal with is, well, the customer says back to me, well, why? Why does it only do 70? Why did they give me that? And obviously, I can't tell them to their face, hey, the old guy sold you something
yeah,
wrong. Because that's you're just going to put a sour taste in their mouth and they're not going to like what you're
yeah.
saying to them either. So what you have to do is what I've learned is really one thing, another thing, again, this lovely father of mine has taught me is people work off of visuals. They don't work off of words and reading. They don't care. People react to actually seeing something live. So some things we have to do in our business is which again it costs us money, but that's the investment that we're willing to take with the customers is, hey, this Wi-Fi access point that costs $200 for your place isn't up to par for your place, but this one that costs $1,300 is, yes, 10 times more the cost of it, but what's more valuable to you, your organization functioning at the 110% level, or at a 70% level, but now you have a little bit more money in the bank. And 9 times out of 10, all the customers come to me and they say, no, we want our business to be functioning. We need the business to run because then we can generate more
Yeah.
revenue. We are a big advocate of redundancy, massive amounts of redundancy in every aspect of what it is, whether that's internet, phones, Wi-Fi, computers, whatever it is, power. We have redundancy in all these areas. And back to what Safa said about we never power down, our motto is that because of we make sure we protect each area
Mm,
so that when I go to bed at night and I wake up the next morning, I had a great sleep because I know that all of my organizations, they got power backup, they got internet backup, they have Wi-Fi, they have everything on a secondary level as well, so that the organization now comes to the point that the network and the technology is running itself. Updates are happening automatically. I'm monitoring still, but the network is
yeah,
stable to where it runs itself, which frees me up now to go to the customer and say, "Hey, let's make something cool now. Let's do something cool for your
yeah.
place." So, one thing we're doing at one of our organizations, a little insight. One of our organizations is a golf course in Thousand
Hmm.
Oaks. and they have no cell phone reception up in those mountains in Thousand Oaks. I mean, for about 20 minutes when you're driving through miles of road, you have no cell phone reception. So they're a golf course. So one thing we're doing is we are putting Wi-Fi across the entire golf course area.
Wow.
And the way we're selling this actually to the membership is not just, hey, you can use your phone now on the golf course and you can check your email and so forth. But on top of that, we're starting to develop technology with drone food delivery, with when you show up to the tee, it tells you exactly what the conditions are of the grounds. It tells you what the wind speed is, what the direction is, uh, what the best practice club for this area. We like to give them as much of this mm, white glove service
Yeah.
experience, which allows them to keep that spending money and gives them that
Yeah.
wow factor. That's the biggest thing for us is that
Yeah.
wowness.
And how that
So
also contributes to
that's
them wanting to stay longer with that golf course, which makes, in essence, that golf course make more
exactly,
money, right?
That's
So it
correct.
all ties in together, right? It all
exactly,
ties in together where it's,
yep,
if you can improve the quality of, you know, the actual experience, people are going to want to stay longer at that golf course
hmm
and spend more money with you. And Saf, I'd love to get maybe your take if you had
absolutely.
anything to add on that, on top of that. But I think Armand just gave us a great
You know,
visual around that. But wanted to hear if you had anything.
yeah, and quickly, as to recap, we are a service organization. If somebody asks me if you're an IT, I go, I'm not an IT. If somebody says you're an MSP, I go, I'm not an MSP. We are a full technology company because we go on site, we do remotely, we're always available. So we do pretty much all of it. So that's the one side of the story. The other side of the story is it's true when you sit in front of a board members or the GMs and these people and you're talking about we need to invest because we have to explain to them why invest versus
Mhm.
expense is this. We're going to say, well, when you have this technology, now we can add on these tools. And I always say, hey, if I can increase your bottom line revenue 2%, luckily maybe 5%, I don't know, but if I can increase your bottom line, but that's one side of the story. That's to keep them to keep the finance guy happy. But what about the members? Those members are spending huge amount of money,
Yeah.
right? For the membership, for the everything. They want to brag about this because they do brag about it. They do tell their colleagues, yeah, our club is like this. But that's what you
Yeah.
want. And imagine they're standing there in the golf course, and all of a sudden, their drink gets delivered to them, or their phone says, "Would you like a drink?" And they're like, "What?" And they will say, "You want your usual?" And like, "How do you know my
Yeah.
usual?" By the way, the golf course is very fun place for people. So they do interact quite a bit. They laugh a lot. They challenge each other. They bet on whatever. So we want to help to increase
Yeah.
that, and this is where it's
Yeah,
going to help.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's you guys have obviously built something very very special, right? In terms of this business and the passion that both you guys have, and it's always it's refreshing to hear, right? In terms of this space, and I think a lot of times that a lot of MSPs that we talk to, people that we talk to, are just focused on just providing a service. Hey, at the end of the day, it's just we keep your IT guys, right? We keep your lights on, we keep
Yeah.
this on, but it's beyond that, right? And you guys have obviously expressed that it's beyond just the service. It's really that overall partnership that we're willing to bring to your company. Now, I have a specific question.
The sentence is,
Oh, I'm sorry.
well,
Yeah, I,
I always say, we are a technology
exactly,
partner.
exactly, exactly. But I had a specific question. I know, Safa, you and I were talking off camera when I was telling you. I was like, yeah, like what is the vision, for your guys' company? You're like, well, I'm leaving that up to Armand. And so I have a specific question for you on that. When it comes to as you're looking, you guys have such a beautiful foundation and a great business as of right now, like, but in terms of when you're looking to you're looking at 12 months, you're looking and kind of beyond, like, what's the vision that you have for Delamar Technologies, and where you plan on taking this?
Absolutely. So, there I said this a lot tonight, but again, I've split up my vision into two separate parts because I realized that you can intertwine them together, but they're not the
Hmm.
same thing. So, with Delarmon Technology specifically in our service business that we have, I my vision for it is to create a, which we have, but we'll create a more structured team into what we do on the daily basis. Now, we are, like we said, a technology partner, and we have our own partners as well for certain separate areas because every organization has the following, has printers, has phone system, has security system, has audio video. And all of these systems are they're their own style. Audio video now is at its own level where there is so much automation that you have to have your own licensing and certifications just to use certain products. Security cameras, same thing. Copiers, same thing. They all have their own specific type of niche to them. So what we're doing at Delarmin is we've created a very high level partnership with a bunch of teams and as well as our own team to create this all around technology partnership for that organization. So when it comes to any style of system that is needed, you go to one human being to have him take care of it for you. So again, it ties back into how I want everything to have me essentially be like an on-site IT to where they're paying a nice salary and a hefty salary for, but at our service
Mm.
business price. I always like to tell customers that, listen, if you want to compare my retainer agreement to what you're paying your dishwasher in salary and benefits and health insurance and all that stuff, I guarantee you my cost is still less than his. And for being probably, if not the most valuable person to your organization, because without technology, you can't
Yeah.
do anything. You're done. You might as well close up shop because you can't do anything without technology now,
Yeah.
especially nowadays, at least. We're in that business. So I like to say that we're your highest level employee at your cheapest
Yeah.
cost. And what I see for us is to keep capitalizing on this partnership that we have. And I want to get to a point where we have a very good, we already have a good client basis, but get to a good level that is sustainable, that is not something that turns into a large level MSP
Yeah.
company that is just becomes a service business again, but becomes still that partnership, but having a good clientele basis and keeping that going for my time being while I'm on
Yeah.
this earth. Now, the other side to the coin, which is to me the very fun part and what I want to make my own name for myself in Delarmon, is we are starting to dive into application
Mm.
development for our clients' country clubs with very high level white glove service and automation. That's where we are diving into and trying to create a completely brand new level of member experience at these golf clubs that they've never seen before. And that it's something that if you when you show this to any sort of GM or board member, their eyes open up and they're like, I don't care, give it to me now. That separates us from everyone else in this
Yeah.
industry. And that's what we're that's what we're
Yeah.
developing right
No,
now.
I love it. Um, I want to hear your
So
take on this,
just to
Safa.
tell you, I told him, hey man, I brought it to this point. From here on, slowly and surely, not that I'm going anywhere, not that you can't get rid of me because I love what I do, but my function becomes more of a support to
Yeah.
his vision. And that's what I love to see, which he doesn't like me doing this all the time, but I'm going to do it again. I have another vision that God put in my hand, which
Oh,
is,
it's cute.
if I can find this little
It's
guy,
behind you. It's
there's this
behind you.
guy right here. This little guy who is my
Uh huh.
grandson. And with the success of Armand's story, I thought, maybe I can slowly groom him into this and slowly pass it to his
Yeah.
uncle.
Yeah.
And maybe we can continue this family business. I think this is really good
Yeah.
stuff happening.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think one of the things that I respect about you, Armand, and obviously, taking on this new, because you have a very heavy crown to wear now as you continue to, build up what your father's legacy was, and now putting your own stamp on it as well. is that I think a lot of the times people will fall into a trap of, once they have, a family business, is to just keep it the same, right? And say, okay, well, like I just want to, like I don't have any plans to innovate. I don't have any plans to do anything else. I'm just going to keep doing what my
Hmm.
father was doing. And the fact that you know that, hey, I want to continue to, carry on my father's legacy with his company, but I also want to put on my own stamp, my own thing. I think that's very commendable, because I feel like a lot of people will just take the back seat and just say, hey, you know what, I already have this. I don't have to really do anything else, right? So it's that pursuit of wanting something more and wanting to put your own name, I think is very commendable. And I'm very excited for you guys. I think you guys definitely, like,
Thank you.
I think there's a lot of exciting stuff that's going to be coming out for you guys in the coming future. And I'm glad we got to obviously feature you guys on the podcast and talk through your story. One of the things that I wanted to end with, because Safa, I know there's a lot of people that are tuning in that are, founders or thinking about starting companies, and, thinking about either, you know, quitting their job and, starting their own thing. What's some advice that you could give to other, founders who are looking to kind of, create their own company that maybe helped you along the way in terms of really building this company?
Number one, and this is a theme that it has never failed. Number one, do what you like, whatever that is. There's always possibility in everything. So if you don't like it, if you're just doing it because you have to do it, that's not a good idea. Not a
Yeah.
good start. Do what you like, because that brings you the second thing I always say, the passion that's behind it. Number three, be open to evolution and change, because change is as scary as it may be, but it's also exciting because it's opportunity. Failure, it will happen. Deal with it, but it is helping you to be better. Don't be afraid. It is scary, but know the fact. I always say it's like the waves of the water. If you go to the ocean, waves will
Yeah.
come and go. Remember, when the wave is coming, it's going to pass by. Just ride it, do the best, get better, but all hands with the passion. If you don't like that, you're not going to make it. But if you have that, you're only going to get better.
Hmm.
That's simple.
Yeah. I
Care for people. Care for
yeah.
people.
I think that's
Honestly.
no,
Sorry,
I love it. I think that's the, a beautiful spot to end, Safa, because I couldn't agree more, right? If you're thinking about doing something, if you're thinking about obviously starting a business or doing, going down that path, you have to have the love for it, right? And you have to have the passion for it, because
yes.
at the end of the day, you're gonna be putting in a lot of hours, a lot of time. There's gonna be a lot of failures, right? So along the way, so you
Hmm.
have to be passionate about what you do so you can keep pushing forward, especially if you have that vision.
Yes.
Um, but guys, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to interview you both. I appreciate you guys coming on the show. If people are listening to this right now and they're hey, we want to get in contact with either Safa or Arman, what are the best ways to go ahead and reach out to you guys?
Safa, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
There you go then.
Go ahead.
Best way for us, honestly, is if you go to our website, delarmon.com, you'll see a contact us page on there. You can fill out that form. You can send us an email directly. Our contacts are on the website as well. I mean,
Phone.
either way is the best way to get in touch with
Beautiful,
us.
Just
beautiful.
call
I'll
us.
make sure to include
Just
those
call.
in the,
Yeah.
We're always here.
in the description.
And I'll tell you what else. I work with other technology companies, and frankly speaking, I never find that to be a competition. I think a partnership is a good thing. So if somebody's in the tech and maybe they want to expand something in their business, but they don't know how to or what to do, or they're looking for some suggestions, we'll gladly share it with you. I don't mind. I like people to be more successful. We're all there's enough in this world to take
I
care.
love that.
So let
Yeah.
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great guys.
Yeah.
If you guys did make it all the way to the end, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe for more content, and go check out Arman and Safa. We hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, guys. Take it easy. Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
Thank you. Bye bye.